Hi, guys. I'm Tiffany, and I suspect my mother wants to watch me fail. Most mothers give all the best to their kids. My mom, however, is quite the opposite. She gives me awful food, awful clothes, and no joke, awful pieces of advice. The worst of it is that I didn't even suspect how bad it really was until recently. I used to think that my mother loves me. She never forbade me to eat fast food, wear short dresses, or striking clothes, or really do whatever else I wanted. I thought that was love. I knew our family wasn't rich, and we couldn't go to the expensive cafes or frequent the mall. I even had to take homemade, sad little sandwiches for my lunch at school. I guess we've got all the necessary stuff in our house, I never really had anything to complain about. But then I noticed my classmates avoiding me. They didn't outright bully me or anything. They would answer me if I came up to them and asked a question, for example. But you see, that was exactly the problem. No one ever initiated a conversation or talked to me beyond what was absolutely necessary, and I had no idea why. I asked my mother what was wrong with me. I told her that I had no friends and no one wanted to talk to me. My mom said that they were fools and I was the best. I calmed down, and I really believed her words. They made me feel better. But as soon as I came back to school, it started to bother me again. I could never get used to their sneers and their stares. It wasn't until days later that I finally realized what was different. I saw my reflection clearly for the first time in a long while. You see, I usually avoid my reflection. I'm just not comfortable with my body, so I don't like to look at myself. I went to the bathroom at school, and the seniors were putting on makeup near the sinks. They were laughing and pointing at me while I was washing my hands. I lost my patience and asked what the heck they thought was so funny. One of the girls came over, grabbed me by the forearm, and dragged me to the mirror. They had finished their laughing and were now just looking smug and self-righteous. Looking at them and looking back at me, I couldn't help it. I realized I was so screwed. What could I do but compare the ugliness of what I saw in the mirror to that of the smooth, radiant beauty of the girl standing next to me? I was fat, had oily skin covered with pimples, a rash. My skin wasn't even a single tone. Also, I noticed my awful gaudy outfit compared to their chic-styled expensive ones. I noticed my crooked teeth, my uneven ears, my nose that was just a little too wide and a little too pointy, and my blind trust and naivete. I trusted my mother, who told me I was beautiful. That evening, my mother and I had a very tough talk. She pretended she had no idea what I was talking about. I was almost tricked and believed her again. But again, I couldn't stop myself from comparing. She looked fantastic, beautiful even. I seemed to be the only freak in our family. I realized it was useless to seek help from my mom and decided to take action. I went to the school library and browsed the internet, searching for anything that could help me make me beautiful. There was a lot of information to digest, and not all of it was very useful. But eventually, I formulated a plan. First, I need to figure out what to wear, figure out what suits my body best, what I feel comfortable in. I wanted to throw away all of my ugly clothes, which looked like a horrible collab of Victorian and the 60s and 90s era fads, and instead buy something new, simple, and basic, just like all the fashion gurus were saying on YouTube. My mother had said, "We have no money." It was difficult, but I managed to look through my old stuff and find some more or less good-ish looking options. Though I had to throw away a lot of things. From that moment on, I started to look a bit less like a confused parrot. Though my mother scolded me, saying that she wasn't going to spend money on my new clothes. The next part of my plan was my diet. The authors of health articles insisted that this was a very important part of a healthy lifestyle. One should eat a balanced diet consisting of fruits, veggies, proteins, and carbs. All of these things should improve my skin and my figure, and apparently I would even have more energy too. Unfortunately, though, at the grocery store, I found out that vegetables are really expensive, too expensive for my budget. The most expensive options by far were definitely the organic produce. However, I read in my research that organic isn't necessarily better for you, or even better for the environment for that matter. It's all a give and a take for both options. And I could just forget about any meat. I would have to save money for at least a week just to have one healthy meal. My mother told me to stop saying nonsense and eat whatever we had. She had no time to stop at the expensive grocery stores and cook stuff for me. I got a similar answer when I asked her if I could get some makeup. But here I heard other arguments which were much more interesting. My mother said that she never used anything except for soap and some face wash. Yes, of course. At her age, it's impossible to look so good without some sort of cosmetic procedures. I'm sure all the magazines write about it, which means that she takes care of herself. She looks after herself, secretly visiting a beautician and wearing fashionable and beautiful clothes, and I am the complete opposite. It seems like she wants me to look awful. I don't know why. Maybe she's just jealous, or maybe she doesn't want to waste her money on me because she doesn't love me. All I can do now is dream about growing up and starting to earn money for myself. Maybe someday I'll be able to look in the mirror confidently, feel good in my own skin. No, don't get the wrong idea. I don't think looks are everything, but I want to know what it's like to have that proverbial suit of armor, What it's like to have that confidence and not be petrified by my own reflection.
I'm Tiffany's mother, and I still can't figure out how the teen brain works. Why do they keep hearing only what they want to hear? My unwillingness to take care of my daughter can be explained in a very simple way. We have no money. At all. Several years ago, my mother was alive, and we had additional sums from her insurance and savings. I used to have a good job, which allowed me to live my life and even spoil my daughter a bit. Then all the bad things started to happen at once. My mother died. We started to get long bills for things which earlier were paid by the government. I was not able to find a good job for a long time. Finally, we spent all our savings on food. The only option for me was to become a maid in a rich house. And I did. The working conditions were nice, though the salary was rather small. Soon I made friends with the owners of the house and the other staff members. I didn't have any insidious goals, but it happened that the owner's wife felt sorry for me after she got to know about my problems. She also had a teen girl who was growing up very fast and didn't like to wear the same clothes twice. Also, her own wardrobe was full of different clothes, so she decided to give me all her spare clothing as well as shoes. I was glad because Tiffany and I had almost nothing to wear at all. It didn't matter that the owner's wife and her daughter used to buy everything. They wore awful and tasteless clothes, but I was happy that I had clothes at all. The food I brought from my work, or I bought it in the nearest cafe. There were great sales at nighttime. All the necessary stuff like shampoo or washing powder, I also took from the owner's house, though I did it with their permission. All my income I spent on paying bills for the house and Tiffany's school. I had no choice. Certainly, I didn't want my daughter to feel worse than her classmates because we didn't have enough money. That's why I tried to find something good even in her worst outfits for her to feel better. For every mother, her daughter is the most beautiful girl in the world. By the way, I didn't force her to eat fast food as she's telling me now. She refused to eat healthy options, which she seems to crave now. Anyway, she doesn't eat them even if I cook something healthy. Everything goes to the garbage bin. Then Tiffany started to make claims about her appearance, and I didn't have the guts to confess that I was a loser. It was easier for me to say that mother knows better, what to wear and what to eat. Either I couldn't say that my appearance was the result of the fasting. I could live without decent food for several days. We didn't have any spare food. Also, I was cleaning the owner's house all the time. That's the real reason why I look good. It's not the fact that I secretly visit a beautician at night hours while Tiffany is asleep. My daughter hates me now, and I can't understand why. I just want her to have at least something. Yes, she doesn't have the best mother in the world. Maybe someone could earn more money and buy everything she wants. But I'm doing my best, and instead of help, I get only hatred. By the way, I offered her the way out. I found a side job for her. It was not too difficult, but she could at least earn something. But Tiffany proudly refused and said that she could handle the situation herself. Unfortunately, she doesn't. She just throws away good and almost new clothes and demands something from me. It seems that I raised a lazybones who can only judge and dream, although she does nothing to fulfill this dream. And I don't know how I can fix this. Please do write in the comments about your opinions on the story and its characters. Like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episodes.